Our international coverage joined now by viewers watching all over Great Britain on Sky Sports. A special hello to you all. It's a misty evening in Munich. No wind about, but plenty of celebration about. This really is an event of international fellowship, as the players are introduced in pairs. Oscar Ruggeri coming out with Stefan Reuter. Football is the world's most popular game. It provides an international language. It crosses every boundary. Well, tonight we've a showpiece to raise money for a splendid cause. UNICEF, so active and successful in decreasing the risk of premature death amongst children. But as all football lovers know, a showpiece in itself is not enough. There must be competition, and that is certainly provided by the context and timing of this match with regard to Germany. Not that it is in the German nature to take any match lightly, but 8 days before the crucial international against Wales, they're sure to try to be at their sharpest. Dietmar Beiersdorfer on the right is a late choice for Germany. Coming out with Desmond Armstrong of the United States. The world side, a squad representing 13 countries. We've 3 Brazilians here, 2 Argentinians, 2 Colombians, a couple of Dutchmen, and Chris Waddle. Partnering Thomas Hessler. And Chris Waddle delighted with the news, of course, that he's back in the England setup. On the right, Rudy Voller. On the left, Georges Weah from Monaco, who's a Liberian by nationality and is the top scorer in the French First Division at the moment, well known to Chris Waddle. Jürgen Klinsmann was originally selected as a substitute. He came out with Hristo Stoichkov, the Bulgarian who plays for Barcelona. It really is a star-studded setup. Picking a side to represent the world is difficult enough. To get them here, well, it almost defies description. Not so difficult, of course, for the German side, who start intensive preparation now for the match in Nuremberg in 8 days' time. But of course, a lot of the German selection played league football only 2 days ago in Italy, where so many of them are now based. Bertie Voets, who has his critics. Rainer Bonhoff, his assistant, alongside him. Bertie Voets on the right. I'm sure many of you recall his dogged style of defending. The Italians on view on the pitch are all officials. The referee Rosario Lobello, like his father before him, Concerto Lobello, who sadly passed away recently, a referee of international renown. But Italy have a major engagement on Saturday against the Soviet Union in a critical match in their group in the European Championship qualifiers. The World 11 did ask for Riccardo Ferri to be here, but as Elio Vicini understandably turned that request down. Gullit, you saw Gojko Chea, the goalkeeper. Ruggeri, who only arrived at lunchtime after a 26-hour journey from Argentina. Ricardo, the Brazilian. Jorginho, another Brazilian alongside him. And the third from Brazil, Moser, who plays in France. Desmond Armstrong, who was in the United States squad in the World Cup. Thomas Guravi next to Valderrama on the bench. And it is the intention for all of the players who've come here tonight of course, to get some game time. Lothar Matthaus and Ruud Gullit have been opponents often enough, for Germany against Holland, for Milan against Inter. There's been some bad news for Germany in terms of a couple of injuries. The most serious to Karl-Heinz Riedler, the scorer of the winning goal in their last match at Wembley against England. He's got a knee problem. He will not be fit to play against Wales. Good news for the Welsh. But of course, Bertie Vogts is not short of strikers of sufficient calibre. The other casualty, Guido Buchwald. Christo Stoichkov, who's been finding goals hard to come by with Barcelona. Chris Waddle, who's recently had an injury but came back in the very best of form for Marseille at the weekend in a victory that took them to the top of the French league. I've been speaking to Bobby Robson today. He and Bora Milutinovic have the joint responsibility for the world side. When I asked Bobby just how serious he expected tonight to be, he said, very serious indeed. And then went on to lament rather that he's got a lot of talented forwards at his disposal, but not too many defenders. The plan is to play with Moser as the sweeper. There was some suggestion that Gullit would be in that role to try and stop Rudi Voller. You may well notice one of FIFA's improvements in terms of the kit demands for the next World Cup. Names on the back of shirts, numbers as well as on the back, on the front. It gets a big thumbs up from the commentators around the world, I can tell you. So Klinsmann has come in place of Riedler, and it is a very big chance for Jürgen Klinsmann. He hasn't impressed Bertie Vogts with his form for Inter this season. He hasn't scored a league goal this season in Italy. So the World 11 kick off against the world champions. A crowd of around 30,000 in the Olympic Stadium. Chris Waddle starting on the right in what is regarded as a four-man attack for the world side, with Weah and Stoichkov through the centre, Dragan Stojkovic from Yugoslavia on the left. But certainly in terms of coordination and preparation, Germany hold a strong advantage here, as well as the support from the crowd. But there'll be no pulling back from their point of view. Stefan Reuter, now of Juventus. The Juventus side beaten by Genoa 2 days ago. Voller, first to it at the near post. This does not count as a full international in Germany's records. The records that show that Voller has scored 40 times for his country in 76 games. And remains one of the game's genuine greats in that respect. Andy Bremer would come into that category in his job on the left. Waddle getting a loose one from Klinsmann. Armstrong. The world side did train together this morning, those who were here, which was most of them. Just Ruggieri, the late arrival, be reunited with his Argentinian colleague, the goalkeeper Goicoechea, who now plays in France. And it's going to be Klinsmann bearing down. Is this going to be the opening goal for him? Down he goes. Goicoechea indicates that he didn't bring him down, was pulling the arm back. I'm not quite sure whether that was the case. There was a mistake in the first place by Moser. He was trying to make up for it. Goicoechea left exposed. Klinsmann, who has made falling something of an art form. And the referee has voted while we were studying the replays Germany's way. Well, they won the World Cup with a penalty, put past Stoichkov. And here goes Voller, and Stoichkov, the great saver of penalties in the World Cup, has brought that tradition and that quality, shall I say, into this match in Munich. That's the side he likes to save them. Yugoslavia, remember, a penalty shootout in 1990 in Italy. So too, of course, to Italy. That was the route that Argentina took into the World Cup final itself. Stoichkov showing really what he's made his reputation as. This 28-year-old goalkeeper. And he's been doing it since the World Cup as well. Only last May in an international tournament in England, he saved a penalty at Manchester United's ground, Old Trafford, from Dobrovolsky of the Soviet Union. And now he stopped Rudi Voller in my mind what was something of a questionable penalty. There was nothing questionable about the save, though. It was authentic world class. The goalkeeper representing the world. Rudi Voller, who is Andreas Müller, one of the midfield players. Stoichkov, who couldn't save from West Germany in the final, of course, when he was presented with the chance to make another heroic contribution when Andy Bremer stepped up. And why didn't Bremer take the penalty tonight, you might be asking? I can only tell you that Bremer has missed one for Inter this season in an extraordinary game when Inter missed 3 penalties and finally scored a 4th. Matthaus was also a failure in that match. Maybe that's why he didn't fancy it tonight, but Voller did, but didn't get any reward from it. Ruggeri. Here's Jorginho, who plays in Germany for Bayer Leverkusen. Won't be easy for this scratch side to find any team formation straight away. Gullit will be asked to lead things from midfield. And offside against Weah. Goals so far for Monaco. Here is Bremer. Waddle. Moser. All the world players coming here for this charitable cause, getting no fee for playing tonight. They have been given just an allowance of 500 Swiss francs, around £200 sterling. But they're just pleased to be invited, and they've made considerable efforts after their weekend endeavours to answer the call from FIFA. This is, incidentally, the second UNICEF match. The first was staged shortly after the 1986 World Cup finals in the United States. Stoichkov with the free kick. That raised only around £150,000. They hope to make £1 million tonight. Kohler. now, Bremer. Beiersdorfer wearing number 14 in the Buchwald marking role. There's a good tackle on Reuter by Ricardo. Reuter turned up for the last international against England, but failed to come through the pre-game training fully fit and was withdrawn from the side almost at the 11th hour. He would have played sweeper at Wembley, but he's on the right-hand side of a five-man midfield so far. Stojkovic with help from Gullit, who prevented the corner. Waddle couldn't control. Thomas Hessler now with Roma in Italy after one not very successful season with Juventus. Vince is the number 5. And his opposite number, Moser of Marseille. Jorginho. Good running for the return ball from Waddle. Bobby Robson given time off by PSV Eindhoven to take charge of the world selection with Bora Milutinovic, who now runs the United States international squad. But Bobby's got to get back to Holland very quickly. His club side have a game tomorrow against Feyenoord. They're top of the league so far. Played 7-1-7 through to the second round in European competition as well. So it's going well. And for Jorginho, it's going well here. Good save by Ildner from Weah, but the flag was up. Weah all the time was offside. In fact, when the ball arrived, Beiersdorfer had got back, but it's not when the ball arrives, which counts, of course. Ruggeri, who faced West Germany, as they then were twice in World Cup finals, once a winner, once a loser. And Ildner covering the near post from Stoichkov. And the world side beginning to flex their muscles here. With 10 minutes gone, Germany have already missed a penalty, or Stojkovic, should I say, has saved it. And very nearly an opening goal for the world side from the Bulgarian Stoichkov. Haven't had much opportunity to rehearse any set pieces, but that looked menacing enough. Jorginho. And at the moment, Germany's offside trap looking rather penetrable. Gullit, who's got very happy memories of this ground, where he led Holland to the European Championship just over 3 years ago. Of course, they put West Germany out along the way in the semi-finals. Gullit scored against the Soviet Union in this stadium in the final, in the very goal he was aiming for then. Stoichkov, taken on by Waddle, who favours his left foot, but has often expressed a preference for operating on the right-hand side, where he can come in on his stronger foot. Given the opportunity to do so here. Matthaus. There isn't, in this initial selection by Bertie Vogts tonight, a representation from East Germany, although Andreas Thom is a substitute, and Thomas Doll, with Vince, who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt, the leaders of the Bundesliga. It's a corner to the world side. It's to be taken by Waddle. 13 minutes played. Oh, and Gullit coming in at the far post. Headed back by Jorginho. There would have been an offside as Germany moved out a bit more unified in their defending then. And the injured player is Klinsmann, lamenting yesterday that things were going against him when the initial announcement had him only as a substitute for this side, as he was at Wembley. But the seriousness of Riedler's injury giving Klinsmann a chance to recall, and he needs to stay fit to impress Bertie Vogts. Weah to Waddle. Cleared by Beiersdorfer. Ricardo played for Brazil in the World Cup in 1990. Was actually sent off against Argentina in the match when they were knocked out. Stoichkov, it was a fine ball, it just needed better support. Weah was the only player prepared to attack the cross. And it's a damage elbow for Klinsmann. That's Andy Möller's ball forward. And the Italian linesman rules that it's a goal kick. Voller has had knee problems this season. He was a late starter in the Italian league, but that wouldn't excuse wasting a penalty, which he's done tonight. Waddle seeing plenty of the ball. Picked off by Bintz. Ruggeri, this resolute character. Just losing out, taken on by Matthaus. Hessler. All the players with Germany who earn their living in Italy will stay here for this intensive build-up to the match tomorrow week against Wales. But there is a German league programme this weekend. Well, sometimes matches like this can look a great bonus, and I'm sure Terry Yorath, the Wales manager, would love to have his players together for this length of time. But if you pick up an injury, of course, it's very much a mixed blessing. Andreas Thom is one of the forwards who could be used as a replacement here. Kola. Bulgarian with characteristic crispness. Jurgen Kola continuing his run. He's settled in very well in the Italian league with Juventus. But he was a loser for the first time on Sunday in Genoa, along with Reuter. And one of the Genoa players is in the world squad tonight, Thomas Scuravi, but not yet involved, although he will play a part later. Waddle, Gullit chasing, and Ildner is there first. He too, Bodo Ildner, will play the first half here. And the second German goalkeeper, Andreas Köpke, will be used after the interval. 17.5 minutes gone. Germany 0, the FIFA World 11 0. That is very sad for Germany, and particularly for Jürgen Klinsmann. The fates seem to be conspiring against him at the moment, and I just wonder whether that arm might be broken. It is indeed Andreas Thom, one of the East Germans, who is coming on for Klinsmann. He has played once for the unified Germany in the first match of unification, and he scored. It was a sensational arrival against Switzerland, scored straight away. Sympathy around the stadium for Klinsmann. But Thom is on. And Jürgen Klinsmann, who is one of a number of players in this match who is particularly politically aware and sensitive to the excellent cause, which is the reason for us all being here, the children's charity UNICEF, which has done such marvellous work, an extension of the United Nations. Here's Muller. Germany trying to quicken the tempo here with Voller. Thom waiting in the middle. Vince, the sweeper, has got there as well. It's Hessler who extravagantly mishits the cross and has to pay the price in terms of the crowd reaction. It's quite a critical crowd here in Munich these days, largely because Bayern Munich, for so long the setter of the standards in Germany, are having a pretty dreadful time in the Bundesliga. They lost here to one of the lower clubs, Stuttgart Kickers, the second club from the city of Stuttgart, 4-1 last weekend. Wouldn't go down too well with the locals if Germany were to be beaten hard on the heels of that by a scratch side, even a side that includes Gullit, whose future with Milan still remains a subject of some speculation. "20 minutes played. And really, as if the early penalty miss has rather damaged the confidence of the home players. Offside given against Stoichkov. Rosario Labello conducting operations with a smile. Hessler broken up by Moser. Here's Stojkovic, who wasn't in the original squad but was called up from his current base in Verona in Italy. Bremer, now he goes down. Well, it's Wales which might benefit from this. Waddle threading it through towards Weah. More treatment, and Andy Bremer, the player in pain now. One of the trio from Inter has already gone, Klinsmann. Bremer, it's knee against knee, I think, with Jorginho. Close-up view of it. The point of contact. It can be very, very painful to be struck right on the kneecap itself, but often the damage is temporary. Stefan Effenberg is warming up now, supervised by Reinhard Bonhoff. Effenberg was in the side that won at Wembley, but has been passed over in this selection. He's been quite Outspoken at his club, Bayern Munich, in criticism of Jupp Heynckes, the coach here, who's very much under threat. Jorginho full of apology. They won't want to take any risks with Bremer. And they're certainly not going to waste any time making another change. Effenberg will have to get the shin pads on. Well, the Bayern supporters will be pleased to see one of their own kind. Of course, a number of those who've moved on to Italy, like Bremer, had spells at this club. So with 23 minutes gone, 3 talking points really. The penalty saved by Stoichkov from Rudi Voller, and 2 German injuries. The one to Klinsmann looking particularly sinister from the German point of view. And I would feel that probably Bremer has gone on a precautionary basis. But remember, Riedler ruled out already of facing Wales in 8 days' time. And Guido Buchwald, who would have been a starter tonight, he is named amongst the substitutes, although they won't want him to take any part in the game unless it's absolutely necessary. He's got a problem with his left knee. There is, as I said earlier, a slight lack of confidence from Germany, which is out of character for them. They really are the arch competitors in the world game. But their plans are being upset. And the world side, with only their reputations really to play for, have conjured up some menacing moments. Their main problem is to stay on side. Well, it seemed to have accomplished that time, but the ball ran away from him. Here's Reuter. Vince was a late choice in the last international, but did well. Has kept his place. Effenberg. Reuter has switched to the left-hand side in the absence of Bremer, lining up the cross. Skimmed off the head of Moser, who you'll remember, I'm sure, with Marseille in the European Cup final in May. And Ilgner almost having to do a man-marking job on Gullit then. Matthaus. Here's Reuter. His versatility is being put to the test. Muller, who is very quick off the mark. Too quick for Moser. And it's good to see from the German perspective a player going down and actually picking himself up straight away and not looking too damaged. So what will Germany come up with here? They've got Muller to invite Matthaus to shoot. The 3-man wall did the job. Effenberg, challenged by Gullit. And here is a chance for Stoichkov. Germany are behind. Let me put it that way. It's great credit to the world side to manufacture an opportunity and a goal here. Stoichkov for Bulgaria and Barcelona. And the offside trap, which has looked vulnerable, fails Germany again. And Christo Stoichkov looked Ilgner in the eye and then wrong-footed him and slid it home. Ilgner trying to keep his shape, but he was committed, and Stojkov put it the other way. Germany 0. The FIFA World 11 1. And this is a turn-up for the book. because one doubts the talent in the world side, but football is above all a team game. And Germany have all the advantage in terms of teamwork. And Bobby Robson will be very heartened by this. When I talked to him just after lunch today, he was starting to get anxious about it. How would a side with few defenders cope against the might of what we could call the world champions plus, because West Germany has become the United Germany. Will Germany's unity pay off at a set piece? It does. And it's Beiersdorfer. 1-1. Well, that's the Germans all over, isn't it? When they're looking as though they might be in distress, the sense of competition comes through. And the tall defender, who's only played one full international, Dietmar Beiersdorfer, from Hamburg, played against Belgium in May. And he's come to Germany's rescue immediately to head in the equaliser. Do not doubt the meaning of this match to all the players involved. I want to respond to this gala night as it's being built here in Munich. But as I said at the outset, football only really matters when there's an ultimate will to win. And that is quite evident now in this game. So Stoichkov for the world, Beiersdorfer for Germany. And I wonder whether the news has reached Jurgen Klinsmann, who we're being told is on his way to hospital now. And no confirmation as yet that that arm is broken. Effenberg. Here's Jorginho. Played more than 50 times for Brazil. That's a little nudge by Stoichkov, who's got a reputation as a hard man on the pitch, certainly a man who gets into trouble with referees, but he's a delightfully warm and open character off the field. Seems to invariably get himself into difficulties with suspensions. It's Tome, this is Muller, and this is more like it from Germany. Matthaus claims that there was a deflection. He, like Bremer, was a former Bayern Munich player, who's well aware of the geography of this ground. And what a great ground it is. Well, that's something as to what it's like to be on the receiving end from Matthaus from 30 metres. Effenberg. Muller. Played back by Hessler to Kohler. Vince being allowed to make plenty of progress. Voller. Oh, and Jorginho faced Hessler, claiming that his cross deserved better support in the centre, and he may well have been right. Jorginho diffused the danger very calmly. Waddle. Oh, tricking Matthaus in a way that Waddle might be proud to tell his grandchildren. On a night when the children of the world are uppermost in our minds, and the money raised tonight will be put to good use, especially in the field of child immunisation. There it is. There's even a close-up of what the pros call the nutmeg. Waddle doing it to Matthaus. A great scalp in that respect. Gullit in an area of the pitch where the great players are entitled to back their skill as an individual. If it fails, as it did then, it can look like over-elaboration, but it's the type of approach that the coaches will always want. And maybe Chris Waddle will be given the opportunity to do for England again on the night when Bertie Votes sets out his Germany against Wales. Here's Matthaus for Effenberg. It's opened up for Stefan Effenberg. Germany, who were a goal behind, now lead by 2 goals to 1. And there are bound to be chinks in this particular defence, because it really has been put together with limited resources. And Effenberg, having got through, made sure that he didn't waste the opportunity. With just over 10 minutes to go to half-time. So Stefan Effenberg on as the substitute. Germany 2, the World 11 1. Waddle. And it's now a return to some sort of order, but that might change. Gullit. It's great play here. And Waddle, who of course will never be allowed to forget that he failed to beat Bodo Illgner from the penalty spot in Turin in that shootout in the World Cup semi-final. Saw Illgner again here in his sights, but the goalkeeper was covering that near post, and Waddle could only hammer it into the side netting. Well, Bobby Robson may have been saying he hasn't got too many defenders and being worried about that, but of course he's got almost an embarrassment of riches in attack. And still the likes of Scuravi to come on, Ivan Zamorano, the striker from Chile who plays his football in Spain with Seville. Carlos Valderrama to play in midfield, I'm sure, for the second half. But we do understand that not Marco van Basten. Although on the official team list he is given as one of the substitutes. Beiersdorfer. Now Reuter. This match being beamed to 35 countries of universal interest. Effenberg. It's Tom. Is it going to be another one here? It is. Andreas Tom, who showed originally for East Germany that he could score goals in international football. And after taking a while to get into the groove, Germany is certainly in it now. There was a worry there from Mozo's part that he was going to concede a penalty, I think. The ball finally going in off a despairing Ruggieri. Tom past Mose's challenge. And there was nothing that Ruggieri could do about it. So 3-1. And this is the essence of Germany, the most successful country now in World Cup history. They've won more games than any other nation in World Cup final stages. They've won the tournament itself 3 times, 54, 74, and of course they are the holders from 1990. Losing finalists on 3 occasions as well. They've been in the last 4 in the World Cup on 9 occasions. I labour the statistics to give you the pedigree. And Voller is offside. Well, they've found their touch in attack. 3 goals inside 10 minutes. But there'll be some patching up to be done defensively, one would think, over the next 8 days. Weah. Here's Jorginho getting the better of Effenberg with a lovely change of direction. Goes behind off Manfred Bintz. 5 minutes to go to half-time. Germany pushing out. And they're supporting Fuller, and they can break here if they play it right. There could be another goal on the cards. Muller wants this one for himself, but he doesn't have it. He used Effenberg as a decoy. Scant cover for Stojkovic here, but he got the right wrist to it, really, from Andy Miller. Tom, the whistle's gone. And it gives a free kick to Germany and another chance to admire the sharpness of the reflexes of Stojkovic. Well, the scene really is set here for maybe something masterful from Matthaus. He's certainly not the only one with an interest in the free kick, and that's another part of the value for Germany tonight. And it was Bintz who took it. I suppose there's 2 ways to look at the set pieces for Germany. They can rehearse them, but if they've got a surprise or 2 up their sleeves for Terry Yorath and Wales, well, those routines won't be on view here tonight. Gullit. Here's Waddle. It's a buccaneering break from Jürgen Kohler. Kohler in the centre with 3 scored, and he hasn't got 1 already. Don't be worried about that, as you can see. And of course he has missed the best chance with the penalty. Good tackle by Effenberg. Goes Voller again. Oh, it's the outside of the goal from Thomas Hessler, who's not renowned for his aerial work, but he was the man over here. Ruggieri, in fact, lost Möller in any case, and Hessler puts it wide. Thomas Hessler has only scored at 1 goal in international football, and it was against Wales in 1989 in the World Cup qualifier. Didn't go outside the penalty area. And the deficiencies in the world defending are becoming very apparent now. Cut out by Möller, but that's going to be a free kick with a minute to go to half-time. Rosario Labello may have a bit of extra time to add on because of the early injuries to the Germans. I can tell you for sure that Bremer has been withdrawn just as a precaution, as we suspected. And that the move to take Klinsmann to hospital was halted down in the dressing room area. Maybe happily, hopefully, the feeling that the arm isn't broken. We'll bring you more news on that as and when we get it. This is Tom. Well, Moser, one of the Brazilian trio, stopping Tom that time. I just wonder whether Andreas Thom will be credited with that 3rd goal. As the ball bobbled through the defenders finally into the back of the net. But almost one back for Weah. And Germany again, giving you a chance. If you were an opponent, you would say, if you get enough of the ball, and of course if you've got the quality that players like Stoichkov, who return the ball to George Weah, have, you will find a way through. Hessler. Here's Tom. And again, making Matthaus scamper rather. Effenberg. The bird from the local supporters here. Tom. Matthaus can't charge on because it's half-time in Munich. A most enjoyable first half in which Germany was slow to get going, handicapped by injuries to Klinsmann and to Bremer, and a missed penalty. Rudi Voller showing yet again that Goikoetxea is a great goalkeeper when it comes to stopping penalties. Stoichkov put the world side in front, but then Germany came strong through Beiersdorfer, Effenberg, and the goal which went from Tom by Jorginho and Ruggieri to make it 3-1 in Munich at half-time. We'll be back here for the second half. I hope you'll join.
I'm not certain that we'll get beaten. I think we'll get a result.
Well, there'll be a lot of people hoping you get that result. We're underway. They've caught us by surprise a touch, have to say. Let's go back and join our commentator. Remember, it's Martin Tyler doing the job tonight for
of substitutes.
English speaking.
Including the South Korean Kim Joo-sung. Valderrama is on. Ruggieri's got to stay out there, and Moser too, with the shortage of defensive replacements at Bobby Robson and Boran Milutinowic's disposal. Möller. Besetting really one of the world's most scenic football grounds. The cause certainly one of the world's greatest in terms of charity, UNICEF, and the match, well, it's living up to expectations. It's certainly got the potential of plenty more goals to come in the second half. And Germany, although they really have had to change their battle plan because of the injuries, will still want to find the team fellowship really on the pitch, the locating of work so that it is a useful exercise and a meaningful workout for the forthcoming major challenge against Wales. If you do need any reminding on that point. Here's Kim Jo-sung, who's taken part in 2 World Cups with South Korea. Zamorano, the number 17 from Chile, is also on. And Thomas Skurabi wearing number 13. All the world players, understandably, given half a game at least. And Germany now have a different goalkeeper to try and beat. One of the great characters in that particular job, Rene Higuita, a Colombian, who likes to play as an outfield player. Now operates out of Spain, where he plays for Valladolid, and, along with his international colleague, Valderrama. Valderrama getting into the tackle. So it's half the world side that's been changed, and that will necessitate a bit more bedding in from their point of view. (3-1) to Germany, and they'll be disappointed if they don't put an even more emphatic look to the final scoreline. Vince well forward again. That was a feature of the first half. Effenberg, whose conflict with Jupp Heynckes, the Bayern coach, Heynckes in the stadium tonight, has obviously upset the Bayern Munich followers. Hence the whistling every time he gets the ball, which is far from patriotic. Gullit, one of the survivors from the first half. There's Skurabi. There was some talk here yesterday that Thomas Skurabi, through family reasons, would have to go back today to Czechoslovakia. And it seems that that problem has been overcome, and he's been able to stay for the game. On for Germany, wearing their number 15, Uwe Bein.
Aus dem Spiel genommen wurden die Nummer 1 Sergio Stoichkov Argentinien, Nummer 6 Armstrong Nummer 18 Stojkovic Jugoslawien, Nummer 7 England,
Matthaus.
Nummer 15 Stoichkov. Ins Spiel genommen wurden mit Nummer 12.
We're 5 minutes into the second half. And the game not really regained its shape since the half-time break. It's probably timely for me to tell you about the work of UNICEF and their immunisation programme. More on that in a moment when Higuita comes to the rescue here. In 1974, only 7% of the world's children were immunised against the diseases that so damage children. And now UNICEF have lifted that to 80%, and their target is 100%. And the money raised here with Futbol showing that it can be used properly to raise the right sort of resources. And FIFA entering into the partnership with UNICEF, which one hopes will be profitable for many, many more years to come. The partnership on the field is between Gullit and Stoichkov. Both with their countries were losers to West Germany in the World Cup. Here's Binz. Effenberg, the world team trying to funnel back, and in the end Muchas steps out to deal with the danger, but he can't clear it. Voller doing the pushing. Valderrama. The best chance for the world side is to get the game, if they can, on a regular basis into the German half. They've got to risk being caught on the counter-attack. Stojkovic, who's so strong in the air. And Beiersdorfer, who is gifted likewise, as he showed when he really homed in on the corner to help Germany level after that rude awakening. The first goal of the night scored against them by Stoichkov. Reuter is very right-footed. He really has made a career in the game, initially because of his exceptional speed. Gullit. Holland have a big European game coming up against Portugal. It's a week tomorrow. Some of the other European countries involved even this week and at the weekend. It's their non-representation tonight, like Italy and France in particular, and the Soviet Union. Here's Voller. Oh, and Higuita was on his way down and found the ball coming at him. It was lovely play on the left by Hessler, and he seemed to put it on a plate for Voller. Higuita, for the time being, confined to his own penalty area. That might change. Voller again. And the goalkeeper just had to deal with it to some extent. I don't know whether it would actually have dropped in. Going through their minds now, because although the world side have great individual attributes, this really could end up being a rather large defeat. Higuita already warmed by his activity in the opening 10 minutes of the second half. he's not the best on crosses, but he got to that well enough. Fine ball by Hessler. It'll be kept in play by Effenberg here. Beiersdorfer hoping for another cross to get to. It comes in lower towards Andreas Thome and Matthaus. Brought out by Valderrama. Gullit. And here's an opportunity for Skuravi to measure across with Zamorana in the middle. Kohler was there. Kohler, of course, got a good view of Skuravi in the club match on Sunday. Franz Beckenbauer in the stadium tonight. A lot of speculation still that he might be asked to replace Bertie Vogts, especially if the result was to go the wrong way for Germany next week. He's been at something of a loose end since his move to Marseille went wrong. Jorginho. Valderrama. One substitute I've neglected to mention for you is Köpke. As we said in the first half, is on in Germany's goal in place of Ilsner. Tom going to the near post. Hessler sending himself for the volley. A corner to Germany. Vine putting it in. Here's Hessler, who can be dangerous on either flank. Unable to sneak in there. Roger Moore on the left of your picture, who was seen earlier today wearing a German shirt with the numbers 007 on it. Gita with not quite a license to save then. Really should have done better. And Germany have another corner. Well, it's got back to Matthaus. Oh, and off the bar. It's not his night, is it? Really, Voller. Well, if I was Terry Yorath, I'd be worried, because if he's missing them here, you can bet your life he won't miss them if Wales let him have chances in Nuremberg. But once again, the world looking less than international standard defensively. Valderrama. And again. Here's Ruggeri. Jorginho. Very nearly got through for Zamorana. Gullit! Well, it was a difficult ball to strike. He's claiming that it did take a deflection, but Rosario Lobello let the goal kick be taken. Well, by my guess, that's Uwe Seeler, who is amongst West Germany's legendary players. It is that sort of gathering here tonight. The likes of Beckenbauer, Sepp Maier, Bertie Vogts, Sylvain Zähler. Wonderful achievements at the very highest level of the game. And their successors still trying to play to a genuine pattern in the second half. It's not easy in a game like this because the opposition don't actually line up as one would expect in a genuine international encounter. The world team really operating as individuals, great individuals as they are. So the movement for Germany is not quite as defined as it would be if opponents were given man-for-man marking jobs, for example. You've still got to find a way past them, and although Germany are making the chances in the second half, they are not taking them. Paul Breitner, George Schwarzenbeck from the World Cup winning side of 1974. Both taking a reflective view on the second half. Here's the South Korean, Kim Joo-sung. Well, you're certainly seeing plenty of famous faces tonight, most of them on the field, some of them off the pitch. The number 19 is from Turkey, Rıza. There may well be an action against England at Wembley next Wednesday week. Jorginho certainly in action in this game. Augenthaler, Klaus Augenthaler. One assumes with Mrs. Augenthaler. He now is an ex-international, of course. A member of the World Cup winning side of 1990. Don't think I've ever done a commentary when I've been asked to identify quite as many famous faces. It's becoming quite a quiz. I hope I can continue to answer the questions for you. Matthaus. Crowd want another goal, and I don't think they mind too much which end it comes about. Coming up to 20 minutes played in the second half. Still the 4 goals that we had in the first half. Stoichkov giving the world side the lead. Beiersdorfer, Effenberg, and then I think it might have to go down as an own goal forced by Andreas Thom. There's plenty of pace about Germany in this attack. Reuter started it, Fine taking it on. Supported by Effenberg. And here's Hessler. Reza sticking to him. Gunter on the left. Who missed out in the World Cup of '84, although of '74 rather, although he was in the squad. Didn't play in the final. Wolfgang Overath was the playmaker really in '74. Nikita is the goalkeeper here in '91. Back from Matthaus. Skuravi, clever change of direction. Zamorana. Known in Spain as Ivan the Terrible, not because he's a terrible player, but because he's terribly difficult for defenders to deal with. Had a great South American Championship with Chile, scored 5 goals, second only to Batistuta of the winners, Argentina. Effenberg. Valderrama is something of an enigma. You always notice him. I don't need to elaborate on the obvious reason why. But when he is at his best, he's a majestic midfield player. Colombia, the side that got to the World Cup finals in 1990, a very talented side. Two of whom are here tonight. Iquita, the eccentric goalkeeper, and Carlos Valderrama, who spent 3 seasons playing in France with Montpellier, and now plays in Spain. Here he is. Kim Ju-sung, Valderrama, and Zamorano. Well, it was a good chance. And you might argue that Germany are starting to relax a little bit. The defenders have their priorities, though. Every goal conceded is an agony for them, and they were outmanoeuvred there by some clever play, in which Valderrama played a part. Came behind Scurabi. Zamorano coming in, maybe would have done better to take it on his left foot. Home. He's got a lot of competition if he's going to get a regular place in the United German side. And they've spotted the return of Jürgen Klinsmann, who always has a smile, even having come back from the medical men. Valderrama. Still no definitive news on the state of Klinsmann's arm. But with Riedler out, if he was to have an injury which would leave him unable to take part next week, Bertie Vogts would still have the likes of Voller and Thomas Doll. But there wouldn't be too much backup. Not experienced backup. Here's Bayern, who was in the World Cup squad last year. He featured in the side in the early games. Beiersdorfer. Kola. German football having to come to terms with the fact that Italy attracts their best players and can pay wages that even the German clubs can't afford. And the likes of Möller and Effenberg, who are still based in this country, have been pursued by Italian scouts. There's the Turkish international keeping an eye on Andreas Thom. It's still 3-1 as it was at half-time. 20 minutes to go. Voller. Gullit, of course, really an all-purpose player. Lovely work from Reza. Moser. Jorginho. Here's Valderrama. Gullit holding in midfield, asking for the ball, but Valderrama spurning the straightforward pass for one that was more likely to be intercepted. Gullit involved in the end. It's Ricardo. Almost caught in possession. Is a rare look in the second half since he's come on that Andreas Köpke, only one recognised appearance for West Germany as it was then, and then that was like today, as a substitute in one of the warm-up games to Italia 90. He was the third goalkeeper in the World Cup finals, behind Raymond Aumann of Bayern Munich, who's had a very serious knee injury this season. Kim Joo-sung. Broken up by Effenberg. And the crowd still single him out. And, as the pace of the game has dropped in the second half, they're having more time to concentrate on him when he's got the ball. Matthaus helping him out. Well, the world team playing with a lot of pride. And haven't yet done to Köpke what they did to Ildner, get a goal past him. Gullit trying to do just that. He really is the right man to lead an international team on this sort of occasion. Very aware of matters outside of football. Always prepared to lend his name to causes. Very politically astute. And a thoroughly charismatic man. Those of you who might have been lucky to have been in his presence probably felt the feeling that radiates from his company. You know when he's in the room. Voller, well, you know when he's in the penalty area, which he didn't achieve that time. There's Kim Joo-sung. Number 16 was his World Cup squad number in 2 World Cups, so maybe he asked for that particularly. Good work by Köpke, keeping on his toes. Concentration not the easiest of football attributes to manufacture in a match like this. And Voller again coming second. Weah. Valderrama. Just over 15 minutes to go. Scurabi. Now Matthaus. Hessler trying to increase some urgency into Germany. Higuita, such a good outfield player that his previous club, Nacional, back in Colombia, have used him in the past in midfield. Gullit. Now Ricardo, that's a splendid ball to send Gullit away with some anticipation. Effenberg cutting out the cross. There'll be no charity from Germany on the field. They were caught out in conceding the goal by their own deficiencies and by some fine passing by the world side. Matthaus. Now Hessler, and it is one of the truisms of football. The more time that you have, the more likely that a mistake will be made. And there's going to be a change here to emphasise that not all the laws of the game are being applied. Bobby Robson has got to put Stojkovic back on again in place of Jorginho. Stojkovic, who played the first half. FIFA, I'm sure, will turn a blind eye to that. But here come Germany. Higuita slipped in the centre and was just recovering his balance and his bearings. As Matthaus moved in, he hoped for the kill. And that's coming just 2 days after all the Italian-based players played very competitive league games. So maybe that's been a factor. A little bit of flagging by Germany in the second half. Sung covering at the near post, still only 25 years old, former Asian Footballer of the Year. "13 minutes left. Nikita half getting to it, in fact doing enough to steer it away from any German attempt to follow in on the edge of the area. Matthaus. Every striker who's played at any level knows what Rudi Völler's going through. The compensation for nights like tonight are sometimes everything you hit ends up in the back of the net, and you might not play too well, but you end up a real hero. Gullit. Morano. Stojkovic. Oh, pulled down. Right on the edge of the area. And it'll give the world side an opportunity here to show off their skill at set pieces. It was Beiersdorfer who would have got into very serious trouble had this been a full international. Stojkovic scored for Verona with a shot from a similar position a little further out that went through the wall of the opponents on Sunday for Verona, Cagliari. And of course his free kick skill was displayed in the last World Cup. There he goes. "11 minutes to go. Ruggieri, well, they've given him the whole game to justify his long flight from Argentina. Took Kim Ju-sung even longer, some 30 hours to get here apparently. Gullit, snatched away from Skurabi by Köpke. Be very pleased if he can keep a clean sheet in his second half involvement. Hessler. Kohler's a fine sight when he gets into his stride. He deserved better help then. Effenberg has to suffer again. Kohler wanted a return pass, Effenberg let it run, but nobody could have called for it. Ruggieri. Ten minutes left. Gullit trying to fashion an opening for the world team here, headed out by Kohler. It drops for Hessler, who certainly hasn't slackened in the second half. Voller, oh, went a bit high then. Rudi Voller, who's no stranger to controversy, of course, with that episode with Frank Rijkaard in the World Cup. Now that is literally going over the ball. And the only end product from that is damage for any opponent who happens to get into the way. It's another illustration, I think, more of Fuller's genuine frustration with his night and the lack of success in it than perhaps the legendary German appetite for competition. But Dragan Stojkovic did well to get out of the way. And an occasion like this, really, no place for a challenge like Fuller's. Matthaus just having a word with the linesman, in Italian, of course, to the Italian official. claiming that he'd been nudged. Gullit. Well, the World 11 had the first say tonight. Can they have the final word? Sung. Good judgment by Köpke, recognising the need to use the ball quickly as well, to Matthaus. Here's Tome. Matthaus. And Germany wanting to walk the ball in. They might still be able to do it. Voller. No. No. Vita just hacked it away. But he's got to be ready again as Tome cuts it back. And Valderrama anticipated that very well. Well, he certainly feared for the world team in the second half. Germany with the incentive, with the crowd behind them, and with all the knowledge of each other's play. That's Guravi going in. Gullit really has given absolutely everything to this game, as if to show those who make the decisions in Milan that he is fully fit, that he is still a superstar. The last few days of trading involving foreign players happens in Italy early in November. There's still speculation that Gullit might be replaced and go elsewhere. Real Madrid, one club that has been mentioned, as I'm sure you've read. Tome. Matthaus, who's hit some very spectacular shots on this ground in the past, and that wasn't one of them. Germany really found their best football when they needed it in the second part of the first half, and they've had a little too much time in the second half, and there has been some overindulgence. Here's Moser. Again, Gullit breaking to the right. Touched off by Matthaus. Steered through by Bine to Hessler. Tome in the middle. That's a good tackle by Ricardo, who has played in Portugal with Benfica, but currently is employed in France, in Paris, by Paris Saint-Germain. Voller. Oh, well, there was a gap, and he didn't want to go through it. Effenberg may well have called from the edge of the area. 5 minutes to go. There have been a galaxy of world stars on view for you this evening. And one of the best, they would say the best, international side around. The current world champions haven't had it all their own way. That's Guravi. It was a terrific header, and Köpke can be very proud of the save. That, in essence, is what Thomas Guravi is all about. Way above Kohler, and it was heading in until Köpke, who'd stayed on his line, flung himself way to his right to just pour it away. It was a header of great authority and a very special save for Andreas Köpke. And you're now having the opportunity to admire it from every conceivable angle, and whichever way you look. It's a moment to sum up, really, this evening. So much good technique on view. The night where it's talent everywhere you look. And Hessler. Cross it. Well, I think Rudy Voller is only one stage away from asking to go off. I can not recall him missing so many chances in one game. It began badly when he opted to take the penalty and Stojkovic saved it. And it hasn't got any better. The one thing he can console himself is that he's not been shirking, he's not been hiding, the chances have followed him. Ball's out. We're in the dying embers now, with 3 minutes left on my watch. Hessler. The game and the evening really does deserve a final goal just to round it all off. And I'm sure watching you don't mind too much which end it does happen if it is going to occur. Weah's been playing on the right since Jorginho came off. Gullit. And Skurabi. The names on your screen refer to the local coverage here in Germany. Not, in case you were wondering, to any more substitutes. We might have sneaked on while we weren't watching. The constant changing hasn't helped the second half. That is so often the case. Although Germany have tried to be true to the shape. And it'll be interesting to know what Bertie Vogts makes of it all in the end. Beiersdorfer making plenty of this. Here's Effenberg. Weah, who's got a proud record of goals from midfield in the Bundesliga. He's another of the contingent from the current league leaders, Eintracht Frankfurt. A delightful play by Beiersdorfer. A reminder that all the Germans, wherever they're posted, are comfortable on the ball and not frightened of responsibility with it. But Weah, who is stronger, in truth, on his left side, took this one with the right, not very convincingly. I'm sure Rosario Labello won't be looking to play too much stoppage time. It hasn't been a testing evening for the referee, but he's been honoured to be part of it. Let me say again, £1 million raised in this football gala for charity for UNICEF, and that is the bottom line.